procession for Mayor Collins just left the funeral home in South Toledo, his old district. We can immediately see people on the side of the road holding American flags or wearing his campaign shirts that say Collins Cares with his trademark green. There are about 70 cars or so in the procession, maybe more, which doesn't include the police and fire apparatus that are leading the way. It's going to be slow going for 12 miles. We just passed Southwick Shopping Center, well, the area where Southwick used to be. Something Mike was really dedicated towards redeveloping. And on the left, we passed a Golden Lily restaurant where he liked to go, and he always recommended in his old district for people to go. There are more people along the side of the road. The last person we saw was holding up a sign that said, "We love you, Mike," and there was a "God bless you, Mike," and also an American flag hanging from a city truck. And up ahead on the right is a Collins Cares campaign poster from his 2003 victorious mayoral run. A lot of city workers out in the cold to wave to the procession. And up ahead is a large group of people, city workers and just ordinary citizens, to say goodbye to the mayor. just turned left onto Heatherdown, where officers had the road closed and were saluting the procession. And still there's people along the side of the road waving, taking video or photographs. And again, we see a lot of the Collins Cares signs from his campaign. One thing, I talked to a lot of the mayor's staff last night. One thing he would have not wanted was all this fuss for him. He wouldn't have wanted big ceremony, big procession. But it's like his inaugural ball when he was first elected. He didn't want a big party. But in the end, he just relented and said, okay, it's for everyone else. Which is what the people who worked with him close said last night, that he would have agreed this was for everyone else. We're passing the Stranahan now, where his initials DMC are on the electronic billboard outside, and there's some children on the left struggling to hold a "We Love Mayor Collins" sign in the wind. It looks like it's signed from different children. And on the left there's a large group of children holding a Toledo Loves sign. And you can hear them shouting. TPS children holding TPS proud signs. We're roughly in the middle of the procession. I can see ahead of us as we turn slightly to the left. I can see ahead of us the city vehicles. And again, I think there's about 70 cars or 80 cars moving east on Heatherdowns. Pretty soon we will be near the golf club where Mayor Collins used to live along and used to golf all the time. And I spoke to the director of golf there, who said he was just super friendly. Always said hi to people as they played through his backyard, and he would sneak out of the house to go play a few holes on the golf course. We're coming up on Eastgate now, where there are, again, people holding signs, and it's bitterly cold out there. You can see people struggling in the wind. It's 14 degrees, and that hasn't stopped people from lining the streets. And again, police have closed off intersections so the procession can move past. see almost every business with a sign or electronic billboard has changed the sign to "Rest in peace, Mayor Collins. We love you, Mike." And again, on the right, at St. Patrick of Heatherdown School, the children are lined up outside, bundled up, holding American flags and waving to people driving in the procession. There's a sign on the right that says, "May the road rise up to meet you," which is the traditional Irish blessing. On the right, we see Tom Henry, reporter from the Blade, at St. Patrick of Heatherdown. Just looks like hundreds of children at the school lined up along Heatherdowns. Up ahead, there is looks like a crane holding one of Mayor Collins' campaign signs. We'll see it in a minute. From here, it looks like it's a Collins Cares sign being held up by a city truck over the road as we pass by. One thing about the city workers, when the mayor drove by and workers were out filling potholes or working on the street or something, or a water line, he stopped and he talked to them. And I think they always appreciated that. If he was on his way someplace, he would stop and get out of his car, or even roll down the window and say, "Hey guys, how you doing?" And so I heard that a lot this week, that he would always do that, and they appreciated it. There's a lot of workers holding their hats over their hearts as we pass by. Here we're at Heatherdown's Country Club, a real favorite place of the mayor. You can see a lot of sad faces on people as we pass by. There's a sign on the left that says, "Mayor Collins, Toledo will greatly miss you." It's like campaign season out for him again. All the signs are out. People have them in their yards. Also along this route, close by, is the Toledo Police Credit Union, which I had forgotten earlier this week, but he was instrumental in getting that started during his time on the police force. He was the union president for 10 years, so that was one of his accomplishments. He got that institution started for officers. off the intersection for the motorcade to pass through. A lot of people asked me today what the D stood for. It stood for Dennis, but he always went by Mike, and pointed out that there was a family legend that his family had a connection to the famous Irish revolutionary Michael Collins. There's a Liam Neeson movie with about Michael Collins. I rented it last night to watch it later today. I think you would have got a kick out of that. So this is the heart of his old district, District 2, where he was a councilman for 6 years. Surprise winner when he first won that seat, and then he ran for mayor. Lost his first attempt to become mayor and won the second attempt, beating the incumbent Mike Bell easily. So I remember I was there when he won that night. He was ecstatic, beaming about it, and laid out a plan for the city. On the left, a woman in tears waving as the procession went by. It's pretty obvious. People in this community, people in the city really love the mayor. I've seen quite a few shamrocks and Irish symbol signs along the way. The mayor made no secret of the fact that he loved Ireland. He went there a lot. He had a lot of family over there. And right there is a top of the morning Mike sign. Still on Heather now. And he put on this good Irish brogue when he wanted to. He was portrayed last night as a prankster, and that was one of his voices. He would disguise himself as an Irish guy on the phone and call one of his staffers or call a reporter at the Blade and just yank your chain a little bit. So he had a really good sense of humor. there's a sign that says, "Call me Mike, thank you," which was a big thing for the mayor. When he first got elected, I think I was one of the first people to say, "Mr. Mayor," or Mayor Collins, and he said, "Cut that mayor stuff out, call me Mike." He said it every time. He never wanted to relinquish that. He said, "Just call me Mike." Always kind of reminded me of President Carter, saying, "Just call me Jimmy." Turning left to head north on Detroit Avenue. Up ahead is Glendale, where the mayor was involved in getting Kroger and an adjacent gas station developed. It's also Fire Station 21, where you can see firefighters are outside, the truck is out, the warning lights are eliminated. Outside the Kroger store is a sign that says, "Our mayor, our customer, our friend." Of course, the mayor really liked to shop at Costco. He was there almost 3 or 4 times a week, I think. I bumped into him every time I went there, and I'm not a member. We're going to head east on Glendale, pass over the Anthony Wayne Trail to the other side of the trail, which is where Wixie Bakery is, a favorite spot of the mayor. I think 2 weeks before he died, I asked him for a good location for cakes and cannolis and anything else in Toledo, and without missing a beat, he said Wixie. So apparently he would stop there in the morning and pick up donuts. Brian Wixie, the owner, one of the owners of the store, said they would be outside as the procession, as the hearse passed by with the mayor's body. This was also the site of a huge water main break right near here on Anthony Wayne Trail in Glendale, which happened really early in the mayor's administration in 2014. Last year was a year filled with events: the water main break, the death of 2 firefighters, water crisis, snow emergency after snow emergency. Outside Wixie, you can see people lined up on the street. Also, Harvard Elementary is just east of the school, just east of the store. So we just passed Wixie Bakery, where a lot of children from, looked like the whole school, from TPS's Harvard Elementary, were out holding construction paper made shamrocks for the mayor. A lot of people with signs. Looks like his whole district turned out onto the mayor, on the rights of man, saluting, holding the Irish flag. Next we're going to head north on Broadway, up through to Toledo's old South End, which is the neighborhood he grew up in. Less affluent than this part of Toledo, more of a working man's part of town. The mayor still had a big place for it in his heart. You can see the procession just stretches all the way up and down Broadway. On the right is Walbridge Park. I think the mayor used to come and on occasion take his dog, Chloe. Although I only know he said he did that once. And a lot of city workers are lined up along the street here. All these city workers endorsed Mayor Collins. Their unions endorsed Mayor Collins over the incumbent Mike Bell in 2013 when he ran. Mayor Collins was a big friend to organized labor, union guy himself. It looks like the road's closed in both directions. One's coming towards us in the other direction. You can see the city workers on the right, a lot of residents on the left coming out. Ahead is the Toledo Zoo. The mayor was a big supporter of that. Always spoke really fondly of the zoo. Supported a plan to get the zoo involved with a portion of Walbridge Park here. Looks like many of the zoo workers on the left came out as well, holding an American flag. Pretty soon we're going to pass Orchard Street, where the mayor grew up, and near St. James School, where he went to school, the former St. James. It's not a school anymore. This is the historical South End, South Toledo's, one of South Toledo's older neighborhoods. Passing under these train tracks. This is where the mayor grew up. He spent some time working as a police officer. The mayor really spent his whole life here, other than the time he spent in the Marine Corps, which he talked fondly about. Up ahead, see some more of those campaign posters. D. Michael Collins cares, vote Collins for mayor signs. One thing about the mayor's campaign in 2013, is that he stood on nearly every major intersection in the city with one of those large signs and waved. People appreciated it, people honked back at him, people thought that was just a great idea. His opponents in the primary thought it was a waste of time, but apparently it wasn't. He won. Came from behind with no money, very little money, beat the incumbent mayor, knocked out the two Democrats in the primary race. It was really a come from behind story. Mostly orchestrated by the mayor, his wife Sandy, Robert Reinbold, who became the mayor's chief of staff, who the two never really got along before that, but became good friends. On the right's a Libby Cowboys flag, where the mayor went to high school. Of course, it no longer exists. It was torn down. The mayor had some real mixed emotions about that as well, about that school being torn down. Still see a lot of people standing along the roadway on Broadway, heading north into downtown. Again at Broadway and South, the police have closed off the intersection, let the procession, let the motorcade pass. On the right, firefighters from one of the stations out. passing the offices for Flock Farm Labor Organizing Committee. The mayor recently had organized a sensitivity program for police officers. More signs on the right for the mayor. The Seagate Food Bank has come out. Thank you signs, a Semper Fi sign. There's Officer Jet, who was a friend of the mayor, I think, saluting the motorcade as it goes by. A sign that said the mayor was a graduate of 1958 from St. James School. Another Marine flag there for him. I said earlier the mayor had a good sense of humor. He would have made a joke about running all these red lights, for sure. In a minute we're going to pass by Promenade Park, where ProMedica wants to build a new parking garage for its planned headquarters downtown in the old steam plant building and the Key Bank building. It was the first major announcement, I believe, of the mayor's administration in 2014. He came to the Blade building and announced that the hospital operator was going to be moving. At the time, he said it was 800 employees, and then it grew to 1,000, and eventually became more than 2,000. Eventually, to be moved down there. But huge supporter of that. Pushed a memorandum of understanding, a new deal with the company through City Council. He saw that as a major part of his administration. Other than that, he was consumed lately with convincing Fiat Chrysler to keep Jeep Wrangler production in the city. Passing the headquarters for Owens Corning, one of Toledo's largest companies. Looks like a contingent of their employees have come out to wave to the motorcade. And up ahead is the steam plant. You can see the smokestacks from the steam plant. The mayor went through that building before he was mayor. I remember him saying it needed a lot of work and he wasn't sure if it ever could be renovated. So when ProMedica announced a $40 million plan to renovate it, build an extension, and then another $20 million for a new parking garage, he was ecstatic. Up ahead on the Seagate Convention Center, we can see his picture and name on their electronic sign. He always talked about how this was going to change downtown, this new campus that ProMedica is building. In 2018 and 2019, downtown Toledo will look nothing like it did in 2014, 2013. And Randy Ostra, the CEO of the company, attended the mayor's funeral service last night at the University of Toledo. Large group of employees, looks like from KeyBank outside their building here, many with Collins Care signs. Mayor Collins, rest in peace sign above us. There's the first "We Will Do Better in Toledo" sign I've seen, which the mayor adopted as his slogan on his inauguration day, and then posted signs throughout the city. It'll be interesting to see if the new mayor, Paula Hicks Hudson, keeps those. It's within her right to change them. I don't imagine she will. We're passing one of the mayor's favorite spots, One Government Center. He spent a brief 13 months as mayor. And just past that is the police safety building, obviously really important to the mayor. United Way employees, water department employees lining the streets at Jackson and Superior. See up ahead at One Government Center, it looks like every municipal, county, and state employee has come out to honor the mayor. Of course, most of the elected officials are in the procession. I saw County Commissioner Carol Petrata, several City of Toledo directors, all driving vehicles. Now we're moving into the Uptown neighborhood, which the mayor had a soft spot in his heart for also. He loved that it was an up-and-coming neighborhood, a lot of young people were moving in, stores were opening up. He saw it as another plus for downtown as well. Adjacent to downtown, saw it as a real residential area in the future. Looks like sheriff deputies are also helping out closing roads. And I know the sheriff had offered to help respond to emergency calls, so Toledo police officers could be involved in the procession, the funeral service last night and this morning at Rosary Cathedral. We're going to head north on Franklin, which is where we'll find the Toledo Police Patrolmen's Association Union Hall, where the mayor was 10 years president. He was known as the president of that union to be a master at needling the city, especially former Mayor Cardi Finkbeiner, in negotiations and grievance hearings, and just drove the city nuts, he was a master at it. Obviously good at his job as president. He held the post for 10 years, being re-elected several times by the union membership. That's the union that represents police patrolmen. Up ahead we can see lots of officers outside saluting outside their vehicles. Just turned west onto Bancroft. We're heading into the Old West End, coming to the end of this 12-mile procession pretty soon. Up ahead is Scott High School, where the mayor's casket, his hearse, pass under the American flag held by aerial ladder trucks from the fire department. And just beyond that is Rosary Cathedral, where his funeral mass is scheduled to start at 11 o'clock. We're at Bancroft and Ashland Avenue. It looks like the motorcade has stopped. We sat here for about a minute. It could be possibly that the hearse and the family have arrived at the cathedral far enough ahead of us. It's stopped there. So it looks like the procession is moving north on Ashland Avenue now. We're going to be at Rosary Cathedral shortly, where Toledo's new bishop is going to celebrate the Mass for Mayor Collins. I remember when the mayor first met the bishop, I spoke to him the next day. He was really excited about that. The mayor was a Catholic, a devout Catholic, went to Mass on Sunday, so he was excited about having regular meetings with the new bishop. Up ahead is Labor Local 500 Union Hall, another place the mayor was a friend to. UAW Hall is nearby also. Purposefully, this route was purposefully laid out so the mayor's body could be taken past his old Union Hall, the Police Patrolmen's Association, past this hall, past the UAW, since unions and labor was such a big part of his life. One of the last things he did was negotiate contracts with the city's safety unions. And he had just hammered out a tentative agreement with the Police Patrolmen's Association. I love that the Girl Scouts have come out also on the left with their sign to say goodbye to the mayor. Here are a lot of UAW workers holding signs. They apparently made up for the mayor. Thank you, Mayor, UAW. The mayor was a big fan of the UAW, supported them. Really set a path for trying to keep Jeep Wrangler in the city. Here are the two aerial trucks over the roadway for the procession to pass underneath. Scott High School, the mayor was a big supporter of TPS. Looks like a lot of their teachers are outside. Students, some of the students are with them. Just a block away from Rosary Cathedral now, where we expect most of the elected officials from the area to be here. The governor was here last night for the service. He met with the family before the funeral service at University of Toledo, but left before the official service started. The governor apparently wanted to convey his condolences to the family, but not be a part of the service or not speak. You can see the mayor's hearse up ahead at Rosary Cathedral. And what looks like a line of firefighters or police officers or both for the mayor's body to be carried in. We're going to log off now. You can read more at ToledoBlade.com.